What's up, everybody? Joshua Casper back at you with Plugin Boutique, and today's video is going to be a little bit different than usual. I've just released a kind of teaser for this video, and it's just the music that I produced using only Heavyocity instruments. So if you haven't seen that yet, maybe check it out. It's pretty cool, if I do say so myself. And in this video, I'm going to show you how little I needed to do to get that kind of result. And it's all has to do with the power of Heavyocity and their instruments and just how great and really unique and powerful their Kontakt libraries are. So don't look at this as kind of a tutorial in the sense of how to do something. It's more of just showcasing if you get the right instrument, you might find that you need to do very little. And that's kind of fundamental when you're producing. I get a lot of comments about how I get my mixes to sound good, not to brag or anything like that, but I make some pretty clean mixes. And the biggest kind of guidance I can give for anyone asking that question is the sound you're using to begin with needs to be perfect, or it needs to be the best you can get. And then you can go from there. If you're trying to do lo-fi, you make it lo-fi. Because when you do it that way, you have much more control over the sonic space, and that's what mixing, is really all about. So the first thing I want to do is jump actually into this right here, which is an instance of the new Mosaic Keys instrument. There's a Mosaic kind of series going on. You can see the Mosaic series. Right now in Plugin Boutique, we have keys, we have voices, which is a choir, and then we have bass. As I was saying in the beginning of the video, the thing that is really most important to getting really clean and dynamic sounds is the fundamental music or instrument or sample that you have, and that it sounds perfect. Now, the thing that kind of a Kontakt instrument brings to the table that maybe a sample doesn't is it's dynamic. You can see here I've got 3 channels. I'm going to go ahead and solo this for a second and let's just loop this. So this is what I'm using inside of the piece. Now, originally, this was the preset from the Mosaic Keys instrument. Now, this sounds fantastic by itself, right? I mean, it just sounds rustic. It sounds lo-fi. It sounds like something that could go in trip hop easily. But when you listen to that in the mix, and actually we can go ahead and do that. It wasn't serving the purpose of making it lo-fi. I wasn't going for a lo-fi feel here. I love these 2 channels from the preset, but this was actually just serving to kind of muddy up my mix. So having the ability just to come in and change that or turn that off is something that, for me as a producer and not as a teacher of plugins, is just fundamental. It's something that I need. It's something that I find myself using all the time. So if I had this kind of piano in a sample with that baked into it, I can't really remove that. I might be able to put a filter on it and roll off some of the high end, but I'm going to be destroying the frequencies of these other channels. So that's kind of where I'm coming from in showing you how easy it is to get really great sounds when you have something like a Heavyocity library. Obviously, I'm quite stacked here and I'm quite fortunate to have them all, but I mean, that's just one thing that I wanted to show you. As far as what I've done here outside of, I haven't really done a lot. I do have a filter here at the top that is filtering pretty much everything. No, it's actually filtering the low end here. So on the low group, I have the Novo string designer preset with no automation. There's a little bit of EQing to remove the low end. If I unfreeze, we can come in here. I just kind of lopped off the subby frequencies because that's combined with the brass designer from Forzo, unfreeze. And, that's all there is to it here. And then the filter is just to kind of let that lull happen and then build back in and bring in some of those higher frequencies to kind of bridge it to the kind of, it's a drop. It's not really a drop in our orchestral music, but. So that's all that's doing there. I have kind of the same thing happening here with the horns, but I have it happening a little bit earlier. And that's all I've done here. That's essentially really it. There's no other automation happening. You can see here that I maybe played around with the punish effect inside of there, but didn't do much beyond that. Then for the choir bits, I've got 3 different instances of the mosaic voices. One is a really clean choir sound, just with some ooze. The other one, and this is what I was talking about with versatility, is a really cool dynamic sort of rhythm-based patch to kind of lead into the breakdown. And again, I have done nothing there. That's the preset out of the instrument as is, and I just put in the MIDI notes. That's literally all I've done. And then this is for the drop, and this is actually, strangely enough, my favorite part of the track. And again, I've done nothing there besides use the preset, and it just really fills it out when this comes back in. Just sounds so good. I love it. And then I have some staccato strings, and this is from the low ensemble and the traditional inside of Novo Modern Strings. If I unfreeze here and open it up, once again, I have done nothing. It's just the sound out of here on some MIDI, and it sounds absolutely phenomenal. I did purge the other articulations for this particular instance of the low ensemble. This is a great way to save on RAM. I do have like 15 instances of Kontakt in this project, so I needed to save as much RAM as possible, and purging them inside of a Kontakt instrument is a great way to do it. And any large library from Heavyocity does have that capability. It's just, kind of an extra point there. Then I come to the kind of very classic kind of trailer music sound. And on this, I do have a little bit of automation happening with the punish effect. The punish effect it's like a multi-effect, and it's in a lot of different Heavyocity instruments, and it just really makes things large and beefy. Sometimes you don't think about doing that to orchestral sounds, but obviously on a sound like this, it's perfect and does a really great job. This is the Brass Designer, which is a way you can actually stack up 3 different samples. You can see here I've got 3 different samples loaded up, and then you can then play that as an instrument or spread them out over your keys. Done plenty of tutorials on how to do that and stuff if you want to check them out, but this is just a preset called Gladiator's Welcome, and beyond automating the punish effect over time towards the end to kind of aid that buildup, I did do a little bit of automation to the pitch for the last one, which I think is really cool. So it just kind of goes, and just a way to end the track I thought was really, kind of cool. We've already gone over this Perky Keys one. This is just the same MIDI from the piano part in, I believe it's Novo Strings again. Yep, the String Designer again, just a staccato pattern or a staccato string. Same MIDI as the piano, and it just kind of adds, it's building tension. So that's what that's all about. And then we come to the booms and baps, and this is one of the coolest instruments. This was one of the first Heavyocity instruments I ever got my hands on, and that is Gravity. And it's just insane. I've done a few video tutorials on this. What it is it has all the different elements of getting really big impacts. So I've got, my kind of lowy subby booms, the mid-range impacts, the tails, and then these are what lead into it. And then what you can do with Gravity inside of the designer is pick which 4 of those combinations you want to put together into a macro key. And make something like that very, very easily. It's incredibly difficult to get a bad result with the designer inside of here. And you can actually get, there are so many samples that you can combine and make your own. But what I do usually when I'm actually using it in practice is I come in just to the MIDI, and you can, just find what you want, turn on your headphones here. And you can find the sound you want, and then you can make your own. As you can see here, I'm kind of doubling up on the impact. Depends on how crazy you want to go. But I mean, this is such a cool instrument, and I'm so glad I have it. I mean, that's just such a massive, massive thing. And again, I have full control over every element in there, and that's what makes it so powerful. And then from there, I went way back. And this is one of, I don't know, it might be the first Heavyocity instrument. Don't quote me on that. But it's one of the oldest ones that I'm aware of. Let me unfreeze here and just jump in. It's called Damage. And you can even see the GUI here is kind of dated, but it's got such great sounds. So it's a sample player. And it's got such great sounding cinematic percussion. I mean, even just that, adding bits of that, throughout your track is just going to be so cool. Just listen to that. So good. And anyway, what I've done here is just use some of it in the beginning, and then I've used some of the higher percussion here towards the end. You could probably check that out just to see. So there's that. Then adding that lower end. Just to do stuff like that. And then this is actually frozen bits. This is from right here. I just froze it, actually bounced it, and then added it to the end just to add to that crescendo before the final kind of explosion. And then these kind of muffled hits were from one of the loops that I really, really liked. But it didn't happen just like that. So I bounced it. I just took that one sample, I repeated it, and then faded it out. And that's it. Every single sound inside of this project was generated from a Heavyocity instrument. And, I'm super impressed with just the sound quality of them. And I wanted to make this video to kind of show you that if you have the right sounds, if you have the right instrument, if you invest in the higher quality stuff, getting really high quality results is actually pretty easy, once you have sort of your progression, your MIDI laid out, so on. Anyway, I know that was a strange video, a little bit different from what we usually do on the channel. Let me know in the comments if you liked it, if you found it useful, if you got any sort of information out of it. And of course, my name is Joshua Casper here for Plug-in Boutique. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next video.